Hello, guys. So I am headed to the office to regroup with my team. Had an interesting meeting. Listen, first of all, I'm Brenda Douglas with the 50 Plus Home Team, and that plus is spelled out. Go ahead and follow me on all of the social media sites. And then also, I just started a club on Clubhouse, let me say. So go ahead and connect with us on Clubhouse. So we're going to be having discussions on topics that are relevant to people who are 50 and older. So anyway, guys, I received a call from a gentleman who is interested in renting out his house, right? So he wants to rent out his house, right? And for those of you who are like, but I thought she didn't do rentals. Yes, I am now expanding. Inventory is tight. We need inventory. And so I want to as much contribute to increasing the inventory as possible. So yes, I am now open to doing rental home people who want to rent their homes, maybe rent out a space in their home like the basement or maybe an extra room, especially for empty nesters. If you have a room, go ahead and make some money, guys. Make some passive income or rent out your basement. Some of you have kids who have gone on to college or they're headed off to college, and you have space and you don't know what to do with it, or it's just empty. It's just a vacant space. It's just sitting there. Go ahead and make some money and also help someone else in the process, right? Because there are people out there, the inventory is so low that there are people out there who need some place to go. They need some place to live, right? So you can help be that solution and also make income, make extra income in the process, right? So if you are interested in renting out your home, if you are interested and renting out your basement or maybe a spare room, give me a call. My name is Brenda Douglas. My number is 202-930-DIVA. And then my email is 50plushometeam@gmail.com. Just follow me on all of my social medias to have my contact information. And again, if you're interested in renting out a space or even finding out what the rental rate is in your area, if you were to consider renting out your home, go ahead and reach out to me and I'll be happy to get that information to you. Now, so I received a call from a gentleman who was interested in renting out his house, right? Now, let me just say that sometimes when you have a rental, you work out some type of deal with the landlord. Either they pay you a flat fee or they'll pay you half the first month's rent. Sometimes it's 2 months rent. It's whatever you agree upon, right? So let me back up and say, first and foremost, this person does not have an exclusive agent agreement with me. First and foremost, an exclusive agreement says that I want to work with you and you only as my agent. We do not have that. So let me just lay that on the table. So instead of him being a client, when you don't have that agreement, he is a customer. But I still service them well, whether they're a customer or a client. So he wants to pay me a flat fee of over $1,000. Okay, cool. That's extra money in my pocket, right? So I told him, I said, listen, let's discuss what your requirements are, right? What are your requirements for a credit score? What is the minimum credit score that you will accept? And he's like, oh, I don't have a minimum. I understand that people, have hard times. And so I understand that they sometimes can have bad credit. And so I'm like, okay, that is true. However, I need to advise you that if you don't have a minimum credit score requirement, then you are opening yourself up for risk, right? Because it is true that some people fall on hard times, but then you have other people who just have a hard time managing their money, right? So you want to be wise about what your limits are. So he was like, well, I'm not worried about that. So then I'm like, okay, so what is your requirement? What is the income requirement? Like what amount of income do you require? Typically it is 3 months, 3 times the rent, right? So whatever you're renting, so if you're renting a home for $1,000 a month, most landlords require 3 times that amount. So that's 3,000 a month that you in your income. 1,000 to the rent, and then 3 times that amount qualifies you to rent the home. His response was, "Well, no, I don't need three. I'll take two." Oh, okay. Now, by the way, I forgot to tell you that this is a 4 bedroom, 2 bathroom house, and it is renting for almost 4,000 a month, right? So I'm like, well, what is the security deposit? Usually, typically with landlords, the security deposit is equal to 1 month's rent. So if the rent is up to $4,000, then the security deposit is also. He's like, oh no, I don't need that much. I'll just take 1,000. Huh? Okay. So how do you want the application, and what is the application fee is what I asked him. That was the next question. And he says, well, the applications can be done through Zillow. Now, let me tell you something for those of you who fill out applications through Zillow. First and foremost, there is an application fee that you pay on Zillow. And I think, I'm not sure, it ranges from somewhere between 35 to 55. I don't know how much the application fees are. I'm not really a fan of Zillow because anybody can go on Zillow. And that's the other thing you need to know. Anyone can post a property on Zillow, whether the property exists or not, unfortunately, right? They don't monitor. I don't like that because scammers are out there, right? Evil never sleeps, right? And anyone can, and I'm not bashing Zillow. God knows I'm not bashing them, but I just feel like you have to protect people more, right? So anyone can go onto Zillow. Anyone can put an exaggerated dollar amount on the cost of the rental and or the sales price, right? That's why you have some people who are doing for sale by owners. That means that they don't want to work with the realtor. They don't want to pay a realtor. They want to keep all the money, right? But at the same token, they can charge whatever amount of money they want, even if that amount of money, even if that amount of money is overpriced, right? So whether you are buying or selling or renting a place, you want to always get your real estate agent to do a comp, right? Comparables. In other words, what has recently rented, sold, or rented or sold in this area. I feel like I'm missing one. Rent or sold. Or if I'm buying, what has people bought? That was the other thing. In this area within the last 3 months, right? Always have your realtor, whether you are the buyer, the seller, or the renter, have your realtor to run the comps in that area so that you're not overpricing, right? Overpricing or buying something that is overpriced will affect the resale value. It really will, right? Because even though you paid a whole substantial amount, when you go to sell that property, it's still going to be based on the comps in that area, right? So if the property you purchased was a whole lot more than what the home values are in that area, you're pretty much upside down walking out, right? So you want to have your real estate agent to check the comps in that area. Even if you're renting a house, have your agent check the comps. So that you can make sure that you are paying the market value, so that you can make sure that you are paying the market value, the appropriate market value, right? So I just want to throw that out there. But please, guys, be careful about these websites. Anyone can post a property, excuse me, on this website. They can price it. I mean, they can exaggerate the price. They can exaggerate the square footage, right? So the information doesn't have to be accurate, and oftentimes it's not, right? And that's the problem that I have. It's deceiving, right? I don't like things that are deceptive, right? So anyway, you go online and you fill out an application. And let me just say one more thing about the Zillow thing, and then I'm going to get off of it. When you fill out a rental application with Zillow, again, it's between 35 and 55. I don't remember what the amount is. When you fill out the the application with Zillow. That application, excuse me, they will do a soft pull with that application as well as a screening and a background, right? Even though they do the screening in the background, it really depends on what the landlord is willing to accept, right? The landlord gets the package, the application with the screening results, background results. But he or she has already set their standard, right? They review the information and then they decide whether or not they want to move forward with you. Oh, it's raining. Daggone it. So, and then they decide whether or not they want to move forward with you, right? So, having said that, his criteria for his background and screening was as long as he don't mess with kids, and I forget what the other thing was. I forget what the other thing it was for his background. Anyway, that's something that he deals with. He gets the applications or the package once they complete it. I'm just fishing for the buyers, right, or the renters. Right now, the other thing, this is the last thing I promise about Zillow. The other thing is once you complete an application, that's a soft pull. So it doesn't really affect your credit. However, it is an inquiry on your credit report. And inquiries on your credit report stay there for 2 years. Again, inquiries stay on your credit report for 2 years. So it's a soft pull through Zillow, but again, the inquiry will stay on your report for 2 years. Just got a text from my son. He's in the Army. I'm so proud of him. I just plead the blood of Jesus over him. Okay, so you need to know that it's a soft pull, but the thing is you can take that same application. Up to 30 days, you can take that same application and shop around, or actually not, yeah, shop around for other rentals. I was thinking also you can do that. It's kind of similar to with the loan officer. When they do a soft pull, you have 30 days to shop around for a better interest rate, right? Because different lenders have different points. They have different rates, they have different fees, right? So just like with this rental situation, you are able to shop for better rates as long as they do a soft pull. Now, how do you know the difference between a soft pull and a hard pull? A hard pull, they'll ask you for documents, right? They'll ask you to complete an application, right? They'll go deeper into it, right? Whereas a soft pull is pretty much, this is what I have, here's my name, here's my social, run the information. So you're not going deep into providing documents and things of that nature. You always want to ask the lender, because every lender has a different process, right? So there are some lenders who will take your information, your application, your documents, and they'll do a full out pull your credit and a hard pull, right? But there's some lenders who will only do a soft pull. I personally recommend that you get a lender that does a soft pull so that you can shop around for better rates and fees, because I'm a big bargain shopper, right? So I suggest you do the same. Shop for the better rates, because once you lock in the rate, once you lock in the interest rate and your mortgage amount, it's settled, right? So you want the best, and I also recommend fixed rate mortgages, right? So that way you'll know how much you're paying. Believe it or not, guys, there are people who right now in 2023 who are paying $1,300 for a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom single family house, right? They're paying $1,100 for a 3-bedroom house with a yard and with a yard and a a yard and a deck in the 3-bedroom, 2 levels, 3 levels. They are paying that amount right now in 2023. Why? Because they purchased the home and then they sat on it, they wait on it, right? That's the problem I have with rentals. There is rentals can increase every year should they desire, right? Every year. And in the state of Maryland, there is no cap on rentals, right? They can increase it for however long and for however much they want. That's the problem that I have. However, if you purchase a home and you get a fixed rate mortgage years down the line, you'll be grateful because you're not paying the higher rate, right? Think about that. Over time, over 5 years, 10 years, you're living in the same apartment and it's been increasing, right? And there's no cap. Then you don't know if they're going to increase. Like And so, that adds up over time and it increases. Whereas if you, hold on to something and get a fixed rate, then at least you'll know how much you'll be paying. And yes, taxes change, but not that much, right? So just keep that in mind, right? And then also with this rental that this guy has, uh the tenant is responsible for the utilities. Now I'm just asking him all of these questions, right, to get a feel for who he is and get a feel for whether or not we are able to work together. And I felt great, right? We were laughing, talking and everything. And also, here's the other thing, he wants to offer 2 months rent free. Now listen, listen, I strongly believe that when something is too good to be true, guess what? It probably is, right? So now the red flags, actually the red flags have been flying because he's totally out of the norm. Now, yes, this could be his first time renting a home. However, he had already said, oh, me and my buddy we bought other homes before. To make a long story short, then I say, okay, so I have your information. Let me pull the comps to make sure that our rental rates are within, are within a comparable amount. Because I want to make sure that he's not being cheated as well, right? I want to make sure that he's able to get what he's entitled to based on the market values as well, right? So I'm like, so what is your, so I have your number and I'll get back to you, but what is your name? Pause, right? Just out of the blue, like after all this laughing and talking, clicking or what have you, there's a hesitation. He hesitates about giving me his name. Now, when people hesitate about giving you their name or their number, that to me is a red flag that says you don't really want to give it to me. Right? Even though we had a good conversation, even though I've already found out your criteria, there was some hesitation. And that, my friends, is what concerned me. So what did I do? I went to the Maryland property assessment website after he told me his name. And I told him, let me give you a call back. Hung up the phone, went on to the assessment website. The assessment website is where they have like property information. That is where you can find out who is the owner of this property. You can find out their name. You can find out what date and time the deed was transferred. You can find out if there's a balance. You can find out who is the owner. You can find out if that owner lives in the property or if they are an absentee owner, meaning that they are the landlord, but they're renting out the property. In other words, is this property their primary resident or are they renting it out, right? The biggest problem is that his name did not match up with what he told me. Big concern, right? So the name on the property, on the deed that's recorded, does not match up with who he said he is. Guys, you have to be very careful because evil never sleeps. Right? And I'm not saying that this man is wrong. I'm not saying that he's done something illegal. Heck, you might even see the property listed if everything goes well. But at the same time, I have to protect myself and my interest and my license, right? So if you are a real estate agent, you want to do your diligence, right? You want to make sure that this, in fact, is the owner of that property, right? Because there are some owners some agents, there are lots of agents who get sued, right? Who get sued and guess what? People win. Millions of dollars. People win thousands of dollars, right? So you want to protect. That would be good to start doing videos about that so I can help agents protect themselves, right? And the thing is, we real estate agents pay what's called a error and omissions insurance. However, errors and omissions does not cover negligence, right? So if you were negligent about doing your research, guess what? You're not covered. Whatever you get sued for, you will have to pay, right? So anyway, that that really shook me up, right? To the point where I'm like, okay, no. So I call him back and I'm like, I'm sorry, what did you say your name was? And so he told me, and I'm like, no, that's not the name on the deed. Oh, so what you see this name? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly the name I see, right? And I didn't tell him the name, nor did I didn't tell him the first name or the last name that I saw on the deed. But he was like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's my friend. I know this seems a little awkward. Yeah? Yeah, yeah, it does. So, I mean, I didn't say that, but I'm just thinking, yeah, it does. So I said, so what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to provide me with some type of proof of ownership, right? Before we can move any further, I'm not going to advertise this property. In my mind, I'm thinking I'm not going to advertise this property. I'm not going to say anything about this property until I find out if you are in fact the rightful owner. Guys, there are people who accept the deposit, who the people move in and are making payments, and it's not even, the house doesn't even belong to this person who's doing the renting, right? So you must do your diligence and find out who is this person. Is he the rightful owner? Is he entitled to or have the authority to be able to rent out this property, right? So guys, you have to check the proof of ownership. What I did again is I went to the Maryland real property search assessment website. Is the tax assessor website to find out who in fact is the owner, right? Now we did have a real estate agent who, let me start up this car. We did have a real estate agent who went on this property tax website, and the name of the person, actually the name who he said he was, and his ID matched the person, right? So the ID, the driver's license, matched up with the driver's license matched the name of the person on the website, on the tax website, right? What caught her, or the thing that helped her, was the fact that somebody knew the owner, right? Somebody just so happened to know the owner once she had it posted for sale, right? And it was not this person's home. So it's not the person that she was going to, it wasn't his house, right? Guys, evil never sleep, right? So listen, I'm going to suggest, whether you're a real estate agent or you are a consumer looking to rent, or looking to rent, because if you're working with an agent, the title company, the real estate agent will hopefully do their diligence and make sure that the person is the rightful owner. But if you are a consumer and you're looking on these Zillows and Hotpads and Craigslist trying to find you a rental, understand that you must be careful. The other thing I want to say is, if your credit score is 680, if your credit score is 680 and above, 640 and above, you are better off buying a house. You really are. Now, some of you may have student loans, you may have judgments. Pay those things down. Get a what is it called, a hustle or side job or something. Increase your income and pay those things down so that you can become a homeowner, because it'll work out in the long run. Now, some of you may say, well, I don't want the maintenance. I don't want to, but heck, I don't want the maintenance coming in and out all hours of the days and nights, or having a key to a rental. So, hey, anyway, guys, so what I wanted to say is that be sure that you check the proof of ownership, and there's several ways that you can do that. Number one, you can go to that tax assessor website that I mentioned, and Maryland has one, and I will put that website in the description or in the comments. The other thing is that you can check the deed. Ask them for a deed or some type of official record for you to look at. Mortgage documentation, a lot of times, not a lot of time, all the time, mortgage companies send you statements. You can go online and download mortgage statements. You can verify that their information there lines up with the documents. Also, homeowners insurance. That homeowners insurance is required for homeowners, right? It's not optional, right? So you can check the property insurance to make sure that that person is in fact the owner. The other thing is that the property tax bill is another way to verify that the person is the owner. If you are purchasing a manufactured home or a mobile home, they have a certificate of title, right? They don't have the deeds or what have you. They have a certificate of title, just like if you were to purchase a car. All right. So you want to check that to make sure that the names are verified, and also home purchase contracts, right? When they buy the house or sell the house, they have to they have to sign a contract. Listen, and the other thing is, listen, you can ask them questions. Like for this guy, I was asking him, do you remember when it was built? Do you remember the square footage? Do you remember stuff like that? You know, stuff that only an owner would know, right? Because I'm digging around, right? Because I need to save my butt too, right? You can also look for, ask them for a will. Like if someone passed away, ask for the will or the affidavit or some type of death certificate or some type of document that names them as the heir or the personal representative to be able to make decisions on behalf of that decedent, right? The other thing is any receipts on major repairs that they've had done, maybe the roof, maybe the, what is that thing called, a hot water heater. All of those things are major repairs, and if you own the house, you're not going to make those repairs. I mean, if you don't own the house, you're not going to make those repairs. And like I said, asking questions, right? When they're stumbling all over it, don't know how to respond or give you the appropriate answer, that is a red flag. And then the other thing is court documents, and then also Google. That was the other thing that I did. I Googled the telephone number that he was calling from to confirm that that telephone number is, the name on that telephone number is aligned with who he says he is. And it wasn't. And it wasn't. Now, again, I'm not saying that he's not the owner or he's not connected to the owner, but what I am saying is we must protect ourselves as best we can, and we must proceed with caution and do our diligence. And again, that's whether you are renting a house. That's not just for realtors. That is for you as a consumer as well. You need to protect yourself. Okay? Check out who this person is. Do not send any money. Do not send any money to these people unless you've actually seen the property, unless you've actually been to the property, unless you've actually you've been face to face with this person. Don't just wire money, guys. Don't just wire money to people you haven't seen, even if you make a connection. Now, I've made a connection with this guy. We laughed, we talked. You know, he gave me the information. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, and I've checked his phone number, checked the records. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drive over to the house. Now, I'm not going to knock on the door, but I'm going to drive over to that house, right? And I may just leave it alone after all that digging and stuff is wrong, because I'm just really not feeling that. So anyway, guys, let me let you go. If you are interested in renting or buying or selling a home, listen, I am able to assist you. If you are looking to purchase a residential assisted living facility, or residential, I don't even think they call it a facility if it's in a house, because there are people who are purchasing and renting single family homes and converting them into assisted living properties. Listen, I am able to help you with that, and I'll be happy to help you with that. Give me a call. My name is Brenda Douglas, and the number is 202-930-DIVA. All right, guys, so I don't know what's going to happen with this rental. I'm going to keep it moving just like I always do. And, you know, hopefully things will work out. I'm excited about helping him with this rental, and I'm excited about putting more properties on the market, right? I'm excited about adding to the inventory. All right, guys, have an awesome day, and I will see you later.